Hello, everybody. Welcome to what can only be described as the Favicon Interview series. A series where I interview various artists within our scene and pick their brains about, how they operate, stuff like that. Our first episode has owner of Megatape Records, Chiroptera, joining us. I hope I'm saying that right. Chiroptera?
Wait, you pronounce your label Favicon?
Favicon, yes. Not
Holy shit, I've been pronouncing it Favicon this whole time.
Favicon, Favicon. It's whatever, who cares?
Favicon. Yeah, but yeah, my producer name, I pronounce it Chiroptera. It's fine. A lot of people just make up their own pronunciations of it.
Yeah,
it's like, it gets the message across, I guess. Back when I was doing radio, people would always call in and like get my name wrong and like spend like 10 seconds trying to pronounce it. So I'm just like absolutely used to it. But yeah, for the record, I pronounce it Chiroptera, just 3 syllables.
Chiroptera. It's
close enough to 3 syllables.
So it says a lot about me as an interviewer. I don't even know how to pronounce the interviewee's name. That's great.
I got your label pronounced it wrong.
Yeah, so c'est la vie.
Yeah.
I think that's the joy of the internet, is that everyone, people can be like near enough lifelong friends through the internet, and the whole time they don't actually know how to pronounce the friend's name. Some cases don't even know what their names are.
Like the disconnect between just contacting people through text most of the time and maybe once in a while calling them every so often. And then when you're face to face with them, it still feels like a weird getting to know someone, but you already know like a lot about them already. It's really weird, man.
Yeah, it's like a layer, like an onion layer, where you're peeling back and now it's a new layer of social awkwardness. Even though you may know each other for 100 years, now you have this new experience where you now have to face them face to face. Obviously, for me, as someone with autism, it's a very different experience. Just any different modes of communication is completely different. I'm very comfortable with texts, but private messages I'm slightly uncomfortable with, but a group message I'm all right with. Voice chats I can be uncomfortable with depending on the situation. It's very weird. And obviously face to face is a whole another story.
Yeah, I have trouble with like face-to-face interactions sometimes because most of it is just like, I don't like getting stared at a lot, kind of. It's just like some people will like stare at me like intently and it just makes me like uncomfortable. This happened all the time at work. When I was working in retail, I had a lot of old people just like lock eyes onto me, even though I'm like looking down trying to like fill out paperwork or some shit like that. It's so fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, for sure. I know. With autism, my autism especially, it's like I remember I was doing a Zoom meeting with Autism Together. At the time of recording this is before the Favicon takeover, and this was a little bit ago now. I had the meeting with Autism Together, and it was that was just a Zoom call, and it was very unbearable for me because everyone had their camera on and everyone was staring into the camera, and it felt like everyone was staring at me, and I had to look out the window to try and be a bit more comfortable. But autism aside, so go ahead. Who are you, and what is the music that you specialize in?
Am I? That is honestly a really good question. I don't even know myself sometimes. But yeah, I'm Chiroptera. I own Megatape Records, which is a American-based label that puts out music of the electronic kind. I have released a lot of breakcore mostly, but I have ventured off into like different genres, into just like straight up techno type stuff. A lot of upcoming releases that I'm having are going to be just like straight up techno, which is pretty awesome to see, even branching out at this point. But my main squeeze is hard, electronic music of the intense variety, I suppose you could say.
So what initially kind of exposed you to this music, especially this side of the scene, and what made you like eventually want to produce what you produce now? Obviously, the transition between a casual listener to avid producer.
So
Did you, and also did you start with breakcore, or did you begin with, because I know for me, it's like I start off with like little simple chiptune stuff, and I wanted to make dubstep when I was like 12, but then I went down the breakcore path.
God, it was that long ago dubstep popped off? Really?
Yeah.
It was like forever ago.
For reference, I'm 20 years old, and you know, so it's fucking...
Yeah, for reference, I'm 23. I'm starting to show my age at this point. But yeah, I started off, well, my musical journey was a bit archaic at best. For like the first 12 years of my life, it was just mostly listening to whatever like my folks listened to or whatever my sister listened to, which like was a lot of dad rock and a lot of hair metal, thrash metal. And on my sister's side, she listened to a lot of like the pop rock, emo pop type stuff that was popular in like the mid to late 2000s. So I have like a lot of knowledge in that kind of music, and I sometimes utilize it when I like produce today, like snippets of samples of like what I listened to over my upbringing. But once I had exposure to the internet, I was able to find other music that seemed to have interested me a lot more, basically. Like I was just getting really bored with like the music I was listening to because I just felt like it had no substance. But then I came across a lot of industrial music just by chance. A lot of Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult, especially its Skinny Puppy. Like very formative groups that have changed my taste from going mostly from guitar-based music to the more electronic side of music. And for reference, like when I was growing up, I did perform a lot of instruments, like even at like a toddler's age. So I've been performing instruments like my whole life, which is something I don't really talk about with many people in this community because I don't really do it as much anymore because it's just my total infatuation with producing stuff just by computer at this point. But yeah, when I got to listening to stuff related to breakcore, I think it was either stemming off from a Fear Factory remix CD that came out like in 97, and they had like a bunch of electronic remixes of like their Demanufacture album. There's this one track called T1000 Hunter Killer, which is a remix of their song Hunter Killer. It was a remix by DJ Dano, who is a very famous gabber producer from the Netherlands. He's one of the major four people in the Dream Team collective that started the whole Thunderdome parties back in like the early 90s. But it wasn't mostly that. Like I thought that was just kind of cool, but most of it for me was when I came across Atari Teenage Riot. I got absolutely infatuated with that group and all of like Alec Empire's work, and by proxy like all the other band members' work, which was mostly on digital hardcore recordings. So I decided to check out more stuff on that label, and that's kind of where it just like stemmed from mostly.
I think that's a big kind of contrast with people, the people who are coming into the scene nowadays. I know with me especially, because my introduction to everything was fucking Renard. So this kind of this terminally online kind of perspective from my from me coming into the scene compared to your more traditional, like as you say, the
traditional.
Yeah,
I mean, I still had to look through it through the internet mostly.
But it's I guess it's a difference in culture because obviously Atari Teenage Riot and the digital hardcore label, obviously like that was 90s stuff, so that was all CDs and cassettes and etc., and it's just a completely different distribution and culture and mindset compared to fucking gay furry music that gets put on Bandcamp. Just how I got into the scene.
And there's nothing wrong with that, honestly. Everyone has to start somewhere.
Yeah, I think obviously the big mistake that people can have is judgment of people, like where people have come from. Because again, like I feel like where I am now compared to how I started, like how I got exposed to the scene is obviously completely different. I don't think I reflect too much of where I discovered the scene. I don't have a lot of. I think maybe in my earlier stuff, the Renard sound is a lot more pronounced, but obviously I take a lot more influence from the likes of Annoying Ringtone and the whole dance corps kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I have a lot of respect for those people in Dance Corp and Splitter Core, Lofcam Core's label, which is actually where I did manage to get deeper and deeper into like the net label scene or whatever it's called, the more non major label stuff that was like either in the Midwest scene, like Addict Records or like Radio Graffiti that I came across over here, or like any like the major like Dutch hardcore labels that I was just completely infatuated with. So it was definitely a really interesting place to be, honestly, because this is back in, I want to say 2013 was when I actually started to produce music on my own. I was curious because I wanted to start my own digital hardcore band, basically, because I was still in like the mindset of like, oh, you know, I want to be in a band with people and make stuff. And then when I went to like my friends in high school, they had like absolutely no idea what the fuck this kind of music was. And most of them just wanted me to like produce like trap beats for them to go on their like rap music projects or mixtapes. And it's like, but I don't really want to do that to them. So I guess that was just when I realized I had to be on my own and make my own kind of music by myself. So I did start out really a long time ago, back in like 2013, 2014. A lot of the first stuff that I have made was rejected, rightfully, by a lot of labels. I remember being very disheartened by it for a while. But looking back at a lot of the files, a lot of it was just like major like redlining and clipping on everything with like reverb soaked on everything. So I guess I'm kind of thankful that I don't have many of that stuff like tied to my name.
Oh yeah, I think the journey most new producers obviously have is just self-release stuff. It gives them a chance to obviously like they get the music out, and it may suck complete ass, but you know it gives them that opportunity to actually get it out, and sometimes it does. I know with me, like when I would self-release with my older aliases, they would still get some kind of attention, but you know they sucked complete ass, as I said. But over the years I got better, and now I'm actually I'm releasing on a lot of labels, and obviously now I have my own label, and so on and so forth.
I think the biggest mistake that I've done was I never changed my alias, even from like 2013. So you'll still see a lot of music that I've released under Chiroptera, but it's just like completely utter trash. A lot of it was released on the Splitter Core label that I mentioned to you, that Lofcam Core owned. My first releases were on compilations on there. And I was on like a couple compilations on ND Records, that Australian label by Neustrom, I think it was. You remember that label?
I think so.
Yeah, I had some like compilation tracks on there as well, like from 2014 to 2016. But when it was 2016, I remember that was my senior year of high school. So I was on a bit of a hiatus just to like focus on college for like a couple of years. And that was just a whole mess still. Like I was still like fiddling around with like trackers at this point and like DJing, making like DJ mixtapes that I lost to on a hard drive. But it was around like 2019 when I was just fed up with the way that like my life was going, just waking up at like 6 a.m. to commute to college, then work a night shift, then go to sleep. and then repeat it all every single day for like the last 4 years of my life, that I decided that I wanted to cut back on some hours of work, take the L on, getting a lesser paycheck. And I would just like take some time for myself to not only just like focus on my mental health for a bit, but to get back in touch with like the music thing again. And that started when I got a show on my college radio station for like a year and a half, which was absolutely bitchin'. And that made me think, all right, I gotta get like some music that I should play on my radio station. And a lot of that was playing a lot of the breakcore net label releases to stand out from like all the alt rock garbage that was being played on there. Well, it's not garbage, but it wasn't my thing. Mainly all that like reverb soaked vocal and guitar bedroom pop stuff was really popular on the radio station. And then I'd have my show at like midnight Eastern Standard Time, just playing speedcore and like breakcore and like dancecore type shit. I don't know. People were like, wow, that was very interesting music, Mike. My name's Mike, basically, so I'm just referring to that. Like that scene in Back to the Future. Have you ever seen that? Where
God,
Marty is like, do you remember the part where it was like Marty was playing the guitar to like Johnny Be Good and like went all like shreddy?
Oh yeah.
And then like he went back and like his mom was like, wow, that's very interesting music, Marty. That's basically what it was. Every time I come home from my radio show, wake up, I hear that from my parents and my friends, is basically like that sort of vibe. I always find that kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I think I've always I think that's obviously, I think that's what most breakcore people have to put up with is the instances. Obviously, I think a lot of breakcore producers just don't show their parents their music. I know I have in the past. I remember I released Scouse Core on Sock Puck, and I basically played all of it to my dad. And he just came away from it like confused, but obviously he was supportive. I think Gorshit, I remember Gorshit telling me apparently his parents fucking love his music, which is very wholesome.
It's good, actually. I think my parents, when they first reacted to my music, I don't think they actually ever heard of my music. I remember they heard that I was releasing something on Megatape when I was first starting, and I was printing stuff at home, and they're like, "Oh, let me see it." And I was like, "Oh no, I don't know if I want to," because it was Fuck Breakcore, the compilation series that I run.
Yeah.
And they're kind of prude, so like they see that and they're like, "What is this? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, chill. I'm fucking whatever, you know." But yeah, they don't get it, but they're just happy that I'm doing something, but like that I like.
Actually,
They think I'm making.
Sorry, go on.
They think I'm making money from it, which I'm like, yeah, I'm totally making money off of releasing my music. They don't know that most of the money that I get from my own releases and the releases on the label just goes straight back into just feeding physical releases so I can keep it going.
Yeah, same with Favicon.
Yeah.
I have a memory actually. My track Amen Kun. I remember when I was making it, and I showed my mum. I just played it to my mum, and it was quite a surprising moment because she literally gave me an idea for a sample. She was like, "Hey, you should sample this," which is very strange because like my mum is like mid-40s and she listens to Status Quo, and it was like. It was just very weird that she fucking decided that she just openly gave me a fucking suggestion for a sample. It was very funny.
Yeah. I remember my parents being like, giving me ideas for samples, and they weren't good. Honestly, I don't even have any good memories of that. I was never like having like a initial like reaction where it's just like, I don't know, because they think I'm doing something like hard rocky still for some reason. So my dad is always thinking like, oh, why don't you, break your guitar out for this and rip a sick solo over it? And I'm like, oh God.
You play some rock and roll riffs.
Yeah, heard of that band, Greta Van Fleet? You should do something like them. Oh, God, I want to die.
Yeah, nothing you were on about with making money. That's something I have to fucking put up with. All of my family, I think all of my family has that fucking like Wolf of Wall Street mentality. Oh yeah, you gotta sell high, blah blah blah. This, because whenever
Tell me about it.
every single time I've brought up a project I'm doing, even now with my dad, I've spoken about the Favicon stream and how I'm collaborating with a charity. And like I joked about it with him when he was like, he didn't really say he was proud of me or anything like that. He didn't say, "Oh, it's fucking brilliant doing charity work." The only thing he said was, "You're not getting paid for this," and that was all
That's exactly that's what I have to deal with too when I put out releases or like say that, hey, look out for your UPS. My tapes are coming in. They're like, oh, well, how much money are you making off of them? And it's just like I can't answer that.
Yeah, I'm fucking like I've had it with my mum as well. My mum kind of makes it out like I'm a knobhead for not making money and stuff like that. And I always have to try and I have to put on my inspirational mode where I'm like, Mum, it's not about the money. It's about the community and the creative output and inspiration. And
oh yeah, and I can already feel your soul shriveling up every time you have to like put that on just to talk to it with your mom. I mean, it's true. Like all this music is like community based, and it is just like a positive feedback loop for everyone interested in this kind of music to keep the scene going. Because it really has turned into, and it's always been like a community based like genre.
I think it's just kind of risky in general as well to try and make money off stuff like this.
I mean, I don't know. There could be a way, but you'd also have to run the risk of coming off of like a sellout.
Yeah.
Like how Zombie does all this shit.
But anyway, so on the topic of net labels and shit like that. So, what was it that inspired you to begin Megatape Records in it, and how was running how was running a net label been for you? For how long you've been running it? What kind of opportunities and what problems maybe have you faced?
I don't like to call Megatape net label because I do want to put every single release out on a physical format as well. But I mean, the like name is just so synonymous with a lot of stuff. I guess I can't really escape it or have like a very gatekeepy kind of tone when reacting to people calling it a net label. But
well, yeah, I apologize.
Sorry. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Running this label, it's been, God, I want to try and remember back to it. I remember when I wanted to get back into producing, I wanted to find a community of people or like a Discord server where I could talk to people about producing music. Cause it like back in like 2019, it was really hard to find community labels that were like active or even know where to begin if you don't like network with people on Facebook, which I gave up on because most people on Facebook are just like boomers, and it's hard to really maintain relationships through that, especially for me hating Facebook, but that's another story. So I went on Reddit and I typed in like a search of like breakcore Reddit Discord server, and then I came across this one called Fuck Breakcore, or like r/fuck breakcore, which I thought was funny. And then I saw the mods in there, and the mod at the time and still is Trup. And then like I just came in like with like big dick energy into the server, and I'm like, "Sup, pussies? I heard you like breakcore," or something like that, to that extent. And I don't know, I guess Trup really came to a liking to me, and we just started talking about like making a label that was more geared towards, I guess, like a punk ethos of making breakcore, which breakcore is already pretty punk as is. But I think we did align our forces with our, well, don't take this the wrong way, Shoebill, but like the disdain for like the oversaturation of just anime aesthetic on a lot of break releases that have come out in the last decade. I mean, I'm a little bit more like cool with it like lately, as long as it's not like that weird like, you know, pedo kind of like tinge shit. A lot of it is just like I type in breakcore like on Bandcamp, and then I just see a lot of releases that just have like the same kind of like visual aesthetic to it. Either that, or it's just like some edgelord, you know, far right bullshit that I see, or like Lapfox or Halley Labs. I'm just like, man, I don't know. I kind of want to like find something different that I can do. So I don't know. Me and him just decided to make a compilation, basically for the server. Is how it started out. And
I think I remember that as well. I think I was there when it was all kicking off. I was there, man.
Yeah. It was in that whole server, but you know, over time when we did release it, I think someone who made like artwork for it, who, you know, I don't know where the hell he went. He called it was going to be the Mega Tape, and it was, you know, calling the label Fuck Breakcore. But that got me thinking, you know, Mega Tape's a pretty cool ass name, honestly. So I decided, you know, to suggest why not swap the label name with the compilation name and vice versa. And I guess a lot of people like that. So I called dibs naturally on the name at that given time. And that's how it began, basically. The classic dib calling.
Is it you who solo runs the label? Or is it a thing with you and potentially Trupp?
I like to think of it as whoever is, you know, helping out, helps run the label. But I guess I primarily kind of like run, quote unquote, the label. But I definitely outsource a lot of help with like friends to just like help me find people who are cool that I want to put out music for. And I have had a lot of like financial help with the label, with Status and, you know, people like that. Not to mention people who have purchased the tapes have helped, you know, finance this label to become a reality. So it'd feel weird to, you know, say like, oh, I own, you know, I run this camp, you know, because it wouldn't really feel right to take all the credit for it.
Yeah, for sure. I know it's a similar affair with Favicon. A lot of it is, you know, help from other label owners like yourself and stuff like that. People like Himiko and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Again, it's that community thing once again, springing its head out.
Yeah. Everyone wants to help out each other with this Exupade. Sorry if I'm sounding muffled every so often. For people who don't know, I had to record this in my car, and I had to get some free Wi-Fi. So I went to McDonald's and I bought food to like eat because I've been eating all day. And I know it's like the worst idea to like eat while getting interviewed, but man, I'm fucking hungry, dude.
It's all right. The viewers will forgive you one day, I'm sure.
Yeah,
it's good. I always put on a positive. I think everything adds to it. I like running gun kind of who cares kind of mentalities with stuff like this.
Absolutely.
I think even I remember watching Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and I had the audio track on for the actors, and at one point like some of the people just came into the recording near the end with food, just being like, oh yeah, we got McDonald's. And we just sat there eating while recording fucking the track for the
commentary track.
Yeah, the commentary track. So it's fine. It's all right. The integrity of this fucking net label is intact. Don't worry.
Yeah, I hope I'm not sullying it with these McDonald's fries in my mouth.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, going off the whole like physical distribution stuff that you're on about. So where does that passion kind of come from for the whole physical media stuff, especially particularly with the cassette tapes that you produce?
A lot of it is because I'm a collector at heart. I have been collecting records, CDs, and tapes ever since I was like 10 years old, I remember. So a lot of the fascination with it just stems from there. And it's not really because of like, oh, it sounds better, quote unquote, on these releases. Like, no, they fucking don't. Like, I don't get why people lie to themselves sometimes to justify that they just want to have like physical shit in their hands with the sound is a lot better when you listen to it this way. Or
It's
like you need to
warmer.
feel the warmth. Oh my god, fuck off with that. Like warmer means that it has no high end. Like shut the fuck up. Basically. Not you, but yeah, just it pisses me off sometimes when people try to make that. No, it's just because I like to have a physical manifestation of stuff that I enjoy. It's the same thing as like having a hobby for collecting, books or collecting video games, basically. Yeah, you can download a digital copy of Spyro the Dragon on the PlayStation Store, or even get the Reignited trilogy now on Steam or consoles. But to have the original copy of it on PlayStation in a pretty good, condition has sentimental value to me. And music has that sort of value to me as well, no matter how crazy or, underground it is. For me, it's definitely a tactile thing. And not to mention, it's merchandise the way I see it for people who want to support the music. And I think it's the best way to, give fans of your music something that they can have value for the music that they enjoy over.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I know I know with me, it's like, I think it just really comes down to the fact that it's just cool to have like a thing.
Like,
It's pretty
it's cool.
And I just like cassettes. Me personally, like I just like that. I like. I don't know if it's like an autistic thing with me. It's just that I like that feng shui of it. That kind of. And I know I have a story. I've got a vinyl. I own one record, and it's of Lolly or Die.
Worship one?
Yeah, the Go Shit and Ian Fukumi split. And for the viewers, I found. So it's weird. I found a copy of it in a record shop in my city of Liverpool on Bold Street. But it was bent to fuck, and it would literally it was that bent that it would hit the needle. It would literally make it skip.
Oh no, it's warped.
Yeah, it was completely fucked. And but Ian or Iane, however you pronounce it. I'm terrible at pronouncing the proper way of artist names. You included. But
I'm taken.
yeah, they graciously sent me a new copy completely free. But it's just that the fact that I have that is it's just the fact that I own a physical copy is obviously that's completely enough to just be like worth it because it's just cool. I think
A connection between the artist and the listener. When you have something physical, it just means a lot more.
Yeah,
like I know that's the case when I own a lot of like records from like Crystal Castles. I remember buying off their store their first three records, and that made it like a very personal thing for me back in like the mid 2010s. And then they got a new singer, and then that got fucked up. But I digress.
Yeah, yeah. The fucking. I'm a simple guy. I like to just kind of simplify things, and I think the simple answer overall to why people have physical media is just it's cool.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
it's
you don't have
cool
to
to
wrap
have.
your head around it.
You don't have to go through hoops and fucking do all these trapeze fucking things to explain
No,
it. You know, it can be simple as just fucking cool.
you don't have to be a pseudo audiophile to justify your want for musical plastic.
Yeah, and feel free to, for the listeners, feel free to cite that in your university work under the Harvard referencing system.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we'll have this up on Google research very soon. I'll have a free APA formatted citation for this podcast in the description below.
Okay, I'll transcript everything by hand so that you can copy and paste it. Anyway,
Yeah.
enough university talk. I've got enough fucking university work to have on my head.
God, yeah, I start next week. Don't remind me.
So, what would you say is kind of your source of inspiration generally for making music? And additionally, where do you find, I think you already said initially some stuff about this, but where do you find ideas for sampling material?
So a lot of ideas that I get for making music comes from a lot of inspiration from a lot of the more plunderphonic type of music projects. A lot of times when I was in college, mostly, I got really infatuated with music that was just outright weird, but like samples other types of media. Like, I guess you could say like that was when my whole like vaporwave phase was in full swing from like 2012 to like 2016, when everyone in that scene just decided to get a big head or was like 14. But a lot of it, yeah. No shade, I swear. There's some nice people in the vaporwave community that I've talked to, and I'm still friends with today. But a lot of the music that I make stems from my interest in like the Residents type music. I listened to a lot of Residents back in like a couple years ago, and a lot of like Negative Land, like a super huge inspiration for me. Like Negative Land, Girl Talk, which I know are on like two different like ends of the spectrum that I'm talking about. But you know, they're still all, you know, plunderphonic samplings of music and like popular media. I think the best all-rounder inspiring album for me is Kid 606, The Action Packed Mentalist Brings You the Fucking Jams, which was like released on a bootleg New Zealand label. It was just like songs of like 10-minute like mashups of pop songs from that era, like 2002 type stuff. A lot of that is just like super inspiring for me. And then a lot of music that was more simplified versions of this kind of like electronic punk type sound that I'm trying to go for. You know, keep it simple, stupid, and all that kind of stuff. Knife and Chop is a huge inspiration for getting me through making cheap banger trash. Believe it or not, you might not hear it, but you know, on a couple songs, the inspiration from that producer might shine through a little bit. But yeah, like Girl Talk is another big one. It's actually someone I've been listening to recently again, just so I can get some more like inspiration and ideas for like this year in producing for me. I think that's mostly all of like my major inspirations, outside of like, of course, Toe Cutter, who I've talked to people a lot extensively about how big of a influence like listening to his music has given me to just get ideas out a lot quicker and not finesse about how like cleanly produced everything should be. Like for my release on Favicon, a lot of the songs on there were literally unmastered, but like filtered through like a wave shaper, believe it or not, just so I could try and get that kind of sound that Toe Cutter had. But yeah, fun fact also, by the way.
But there you go. That's where your number one source for Favicon facts.
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, that's probably gonna be like the only time I ever do something like that. because I've realized just working on that, it's fucked a lot of things up, like sonically, just putting effects on the master chain. So that's a learning experience for me as well.
Yeah, do you have a question about like the sample material and stuff like that? Like, where exactly do you find a lot of your inspiration for that? Because I know for me, it's like a lot of a lot of songs of a lot of it is just like I'll just find something. It'll be as simple as I'll just be going about my general life and I'll just find a song that I think would sound good. But a lot of it is a lot of it has also been stuff like growing up and hearing stuff on the radio, and I kind of remember it, and I'm like, you know what, that would sound good. I know with my Dance Corps release, the first song, Stars, the intro track to the album was because I said that sampled Stars in Her Eyes by Just Jack, and that was a song that was fucking constantly on the radio on like Juice FM.
I've never heard of it. Is that like a UK kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a very UK, like the vocalist is very English sounding, but
oh man, reminds me of like The Streets sounding like that. I think like the most British thing I've ever heard was like The Streets original pirate material.
Yeah. It was like that song and fucking Scouting for Girls that was always like playing on the radio when I was a kid, and it's this kind of
Blur song.
Say that again.
Isn't that like a Blur song? Like, you know, Scouting for Girls and Boys or something?
No, Scouting for Girls is a singer. He's an artist himself, and all of his songs sound exactly the fucking same.
God, then what the hell am I thinking about?
I know there is a song by Blur. Oh, the girls and the boys and the girls.
That one, yeah. Holy shit. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, for you, so is it a case for you as well where it's like just like stuff that you grew up with to kind of like re-emerge in your head and you think, fuck, I need to use that?
Yeah, a lot of it is just like remembering a lot of like earworms that some older songs have, and then thinking, what if I put this over a bunch of breakbeats with full distortion on it and see how that goes? And I've done that for a lot of times. But lately, I've actually been actively seeking out tracks that I can like jumble together in an effort to be like, you know, let's see how many songs I can shove into like 3.5 minutes of a song.
Oh, like a kind of like a Razor Co CJ style kind of thing. Well, not I guess not to that extent, but
yeah, something like a little bit more subtle. Like I'll use like a 1 second snippet of a song for like a percussive type sound sometimes.
Oh,
and then other times I'll just build a song around an actual song type stuff. Like I did a song for EMCD like a couple months ago where it was just me having a stream of consciousness on doing a track around that Otis Redding song, Hard to Handle. But there was also a cover of it that I remember by the Black Crowes, which utter trash, utter like early 90s, like, you know, butt rock for that time, garbage, like glam rock, dying days type material, which that stuff always fascinates me. And you can probably hear a lot of it in a lot of my tracks because a lot of it is just so like polished and clean that putting that through weird DSP processing has always just been fascinating to me sonically. So a lot of it is just like active, like listening, and a lot of it is also a bunch of like seeking out and scavenger hunting for certain songs that I can like jam together. So yeah, something like that. It depends on my mood that day. Sometimes I'll have songs in my head for a long time, and the only way to like get them out is to make a song out of them so they can be purged from my memory. That's what Clearing the Dance Floor was actually. I had that fucking Vine song stuck in my head for like a month straight, and I was just like so fed up with it that I decided to try and butcher it for my own sanity.
I hadn't really thought of it that way. if a song annoys you that much, you just use it and annoy yourself too much to the point where you just completely block it out of your head.
Absolutely. That's what most tracks that I do are for me. That's why I would sample something as garbage as Kiss in my songs.
Excellent. I really resonate with that bit as well about the processing, like a clean sample and making it sound really muddy and because I've a lot of there's been quite a few tracks where I've because I have a process where I run. Well, I'll have an EQ and I'll just have the high pass and low pass kind of squeeze it so it's only like middle frequencies, and then I'll layer that into distortion, and it creates because obviously when you distort something with bass, then obviously it just sounds way too fucking muddy. So I get rid of the bass, but then when you get rid of the highs as well, it then creates a more nicer, as you say, warm sound. And I've used that in
audio file.
Yeah, I've used that in off the top of my head. I think 2 tracks I've got that. I know All My Pals Love Mashcore predominantly has that. And I say like I'm so proud of that sound because of the build up with the way because I've chopped it up, and it almost sounds like a synth in itself, with just how it kind of wails and screeches, but in a kind of weirdly beautiful kind of way. Not to suck my own dick too much about my fucking song. The song that samples that fucking song from the Dodgeball movie with Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller.
Oh my god, I don't even remember that. You mean like, oh yeah, Dodgeball, A True Story?
Yeah. So when I fucking sample some fucking stupid raunchy fucking 2003 comedy film, and it's like the most beautiful song I've ever made.
I should probably, figure something out like that. Maybe I'll get a bunch more listeners if I do something like that. Maybe I'll sample Vince Vaughn, The Pacifier, only on Disney XD, and then make a sample with that mixed with, I don't know, Tub Thumping, and see where that takes me.
So I think that's another good source of samples is the shitty movies that you watched as a kid with quite decent soundtracks. I've been trying to sample One Little Step by the Bare Naked Ladies, which is on the Chicken Little movie.
God, yeah, I remember my dad had a burnt CD of just Bare Naked Ladies songs on there. And one of my best friends is a massive Bare Naked Ladies stan, and for absolutely no reason, he will just break out into just reciting the lyrics of any song by them, just on the drop of a hat, and it's kind of scary sometimes. 90s pop, you can't really replicate it anymore.
Yeah, it's the only way to keep it going is to sample it in breakcore, unfortunately.
Absolutely, that's why I've had a lot of favorites come out recently that I've sampled that on my new Fuck Breakcore compilation. I think my favorite track on there has to be Sam Vouchon's track Block of Shirley, which has a sample of George Michael's Faith and Baby One More Time spliced through with I think is the Exorcist movie. And he's got a fantastic style, but that's probably because me and him have the same influences and use the same DAW. But I digress. He's giving him a quick shout out.
Yeah, he sent a track into the upcoming Favicon comp, and it's what he sent in is probably one of my favorite sounds in the compilation.
Absolutely, I'm in talk with him to probably release something through my label very soon. I know he's just recently started college, but I'd be more than happy to put some money into making some tapes for him. Absolutely.
What a king.
Definitely king shit. God, but yeah, shit like that. There's just so many good producers that have come up recently. And it's just mind boggling how quick a community is just expanded the last 2 years, or maybe it was already there, but I just steamrolled right through it, trying to meet everybody to where it just feels bigger than me, because maybe it's been there this whole time and I just never saw it.
Yeah, we're only now like paying attention to it. um, so, what is your process when it comes to producing, and what kind of like, so as you say about doors, like what is your preferred DAW, and what kind of, is there any additional software that you incorporate in your production? And
Yeah, a lot of my music has worked with Renoise mostly. I just fall in love with that, program. It's like such a good workflow for me to work with tracker based. But sometimes I do go back to FL Studio if I want to like jot down an idea quicker, since I'm just so used to that interface. But I always feel like if I'm using FL Studio, it's me taking the easy. I feel like I'm like making it easy on myself. On my personality, I like to just make things a lot more difficult on myself to my detriment. So I always have to like painstakingly like cut certain splices of samples, paste it into new instruments, and then make new tracks of them to just like play once. And then I spend like a half hour finessing on that. But it also works against me with needing to complete tracks in one sitting, or else I will never get back to them unless it's a month later at best. So like a lot of my tracks do stem from, a single day, but on like a 19-hour bender, just working on a track start to finish. Or it could just be something that I work on for like maybe 3 hours one day, let it sit for like around 1 to 10 months. And then I go back to it and I'm like, maybe I should actually finish this. And I just like, finish that up in a all night bender session. It's not a healthy way to go about producing. Absolutely not. But it's my way of doing it. I guess.
I know with me, it's like I've got FL Studio projects just covered everywhere on my desktop. Some of them are like completed ones that I just haven't bothered to like archive yet, because I'm very depressed. I hardly have the fucking energy to go to the toilet sometimes. But fucking, it's like with me, it's like I've got a bunch of unfinished projects, but I know a lot of them are never going to be opened again. I think the projects for me that have seen the light of day have been the ones that I started at like 3 a.m. and I've just worked on them incessantly for like 10 hours nonstop. And those are usually the best ones that I produce.
It's weird. It's like not fair. Like half the time when you work on something in just like one sitting, it becomes your best work. Yet when you work on something, for days and days, it might just be ear fatigue or something. But you listen back to it and you're like, maybe I could have done better. It's just really, it just sucks, man. I just wish I had more time and like energy to just constantly produce stuff, I guess.
Yeah, there's fucking powerhouses in our scene who I don't know. I have no idea how people do it. There's people who make fucking 10 tracks a day. And it's like
crazy.
Fuck. Because and with me, it's I just don't really understand my own process, because I do generally the same stuff. I have my own methods of producing, and I'll do it, but then it's just it's not clicking. I'm not doing anything different from what I would do for a successful track. But
that's how I'm actually feeling about. That's how I'm feeling about like this track for your Favicon compilation coming up. Like I've been struggling a lot with it, but I feel like I have so much energy. Like today, that I literally drove out like 20 miles just so I could have McDonald's while I have a podcast with you, and then go back to just like work on some more shit. It's really weird, man. I don't know if it's like some sort of like a manic type episode or whatever, but that's usually when I get most of my stuff done.
Yeah, definitely. I think sleep deprivation is what motivates me a lot, to be honest, as well. I think just in general, even beyond music, stuff with video and like uni work and stuff has been done at 3 a.m. when I'm like emotional from no sleep. Where you just feel a bit more like sentimental to people, and It's like a weird high.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
that's when the feelings come out.
I've had a lot of them lately. Just like fucking sitting there at 5 a.m. like tweeting about how much I love my friends.
That's adorable, man.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah. I mean, I get like that sometimes too. I'll just like be up for a while, and then I'll just message someone, and I'll be like, "Hey, I just want you to know that I really do care about you, and you know, like your expeditions in life, right?" They'll be like, "Yeah, you said that like yesterday too." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I still mean it." Just shit like that.
Well,
Man,
very
I don't know.
So, do you have any on the whole topic of producing? Have you got any like physical synthesizers or samplers that you incorporate as well, or is it just all like running gun on a laptop?
Yeah, God, I wish I had physical stuff. The most I have are my 2 turntables and mixer for when I do DJ mixes on a vinyl, and DJ controller that I use as an audio interface. But other than that, everything is like purely software based. I do it on my gaming PC basically because I don't know, working on a laptop hasn't really served the best results for me because I need to have like good audio interfaces plugged in for me to hear everything at a decent volume. It could just be like hearing loss, but you know, par for the course.
Yep, I know that with my fucking tinnitus. I'm the same though. I think the only physical stuff I have is for live performances. I've got a MIDI controller, a MIDI fighter even. That was like fucking 200 quid, and I got that. I got that initially because I wanted to do finger drumming. I was really inspired by like Drum Corps, Aaron Spector, and Gore Shit because they both come from a drummer background. Like they're really talented drummers, so it's almost second nature for the finger drum. And I remember Gore Shit even telling me that. It's just like I remember he told me that, and I kind of said like jokingly like, "Oh, so you know it's easy if you're a drummer," and he was like, "Well, yeah."
Yeah, basically.
And so like this was like during like when I first started, when the pandemic first started. I thought, oh, I'll learn how to finger drum, so I'll be able to finger drum when the pandemic ends. A year later, I was still in the pandemic, obviously, and fucking I don't know how to finger drum.
It's weird to think that it's already been a year that this pandemic's basically started worldwide. Like it feels like so weird. Like I'm locked in my car because I'm afraid to go out because I'm worried that COVID's just gonna like home itself into my lungs and like ruin my life. And
yeah, I don't. I obviously I think the MIDI fighter I've gotten good use out of it though now with my current setup for live stuff. I do a lot of like just loop roll stuff to just try and fucking just do something with the track. I'm really I have my own DJ controller, but I've chucked that now. I don't really use that because I think because like what I do is like my method for live is that it's a mix of pre-made stuff that I've done in FL Studio. Just get the tracks down in FL Studio and have like the pre-done transitions and stuff.
Yeah. Like I have an APC 40 that's just been sitting in my like under my bed for like 5 years because I was planning on like doing Ableton Live for all my live performances because I remember seeing I think it was like the Sickest Squad doing stuff like that, and I was like, damn, I should get something just like that so I can make Frenchcore. I don't know. I didn't really think that through.
Yeah, no, Ghost uses an APC 40, I think. But yeah, it's just that like I basically make the mix in FL Studio, but then I perform it in Virtual DJ, and it's just one track. But I just have like the MIDI fighter, and I've got a Akai, like a little cheap £20 Akai like drum pad thing, and those little drum pads are just to press play or to skip, and it has fucking knobs on it that I can change the tempo on, and I can assign any of the like a filter on it and stuff like that. But
It's handy.
that's like the only physical media I have, and it's like it's this very kind of pseudo DJ, but it's like it's whatever. I don't think anyone really fucking gives a shit.
Well, honestly, it's come to that point in 2021 where like it's not like the traditional ways of DJing that won't matter anymore. Like you can launch clips and like perform sequences digitally now, which opens up the entire like aspect of DJing to everyone who has, you know, any ideas on what they want to do for a live performance. I personally like to stick to the traditional way of DJing because I feel like the art form that comes with queuing in songs to fade in and out with each other, or just like turntablism in general, which I've always been fascinated with, drew me to trying to accomplish any skill set in that medium of DJing, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, yeah.
I think that's
goes in with the whole collecting thing for me too, because I like collecting a lot of records from a lot of 90s gabber labels. It costs a lot for me to import over, but you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah. I think it's just like because I think it's quite silly to try and I guess gatekeep that kind of stuff, because it's one of them where I think it's just some DJs want to keep the tradition. Well, yeah. I mean, DJs, like traditional DJs and stuff like that, and just people who do normal, actual DJing on like proper controls and stuff like that, because there is a genuine art form to that. But I think to some people, that's like, obviously that's a skill set that's really a bit too far for them. I know it's too fucking far for me anyway. I know I'm very slow with my hands. I can just about do loop rolls. So I guess like I know my method, and people, a lot of DJs, a lot of artists, especially now, right now with the emergence of URL shows, they will just straight up, and I've done this for a lot of my shows. It will just straight up just make like a mix in FL Studio or Pre-Done or whatever.
What they call them? URL shows?
URL shows, yeah. It's the cool.
Really? I thought they would just be like Twitch shows or something.
Yeah. It's just a cool name. Cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like I'm missing out really greatly when I see all these. Because I tried doing that myself. I was doing Cyber Rave Sunday in 2020, but only through like Discord calls because I don't have the best internet, as you can probably tell by me being at McDonald's using their Wi-Fi to conduct this interview.
Yeah, I haven't got good internet. That's why my show is literally in collaboration with my friend who runs Projectile Vomit TV. So just so I can use their internet. It's a whole fucking collaboration just for internet.
Yeah, I wish I had some connections close by where I could have done that. Most people who I planned on having help me always flaked on me, so it kind of put me and the rest of the label kind of on standby with it. But I am looking forward to hopefully participating in some more URL shows. I do plan on recording some more vinyl mixes of just like happy hardcore gabber probably, but also I am thinking about doing just regular like live shows through like digitally, like maybe like fusing my songs together and other songs in like a pre-made way, but also in a live way. Because for me, I could easily just like pre-record a mix to throw on a URL show and just like completely clean it up. But I like the energy of performing it live through it as well, because you're allowed to make mistakes when you're doing everything live, I feel.
Yeah, I know that for sure. With all the fucking stupid shit I've had so many times. This is why I've chucked that DJ controller that I had, was if you move too hard, the slip disc like activates and you just hear a fucking in the music in silence for a second, then it comes back on.
Moving.
Literally, my first ever show, which is like actually a year ago, like February last year, which was in front of a live audience all before COVID. That happened
I just done that too.
That happened like 5 times throughout the whole thing, from me just moving too hard, like me like stamping on the ground, and it like
Really?
it made the fucking it detected it on the fucking slip disc. It's so fucking stupid.
Oh, that sounds awful, honestly. I guess that's why people still use concrete slabs for everything, to minimize vibration. Like, there's literally people in the California race scene who make branded concrete slabs for their own, like, party sound systems. It's kind of cool. I should probably get in on that.
They should, they made slip discs really sensitive so that big slab can make fucking concrete slabs. Big concrete will sell fucking branded slabs of concrete.
Yeah. God, that reminded me back before the pandemic hit, I was slated to actually do a basement venue circuit around my area in New England. But then that just got completely like pulled right under from me because of all this. I'm still really bitter about it, because those are probably connections I'm probably never going to have again after being a year in like total isolation.
Yeah, there's a lot of regret. I know.
I know.
With me, it's like there was people at Bankface when I went there that I'm like friends with on Facebook, who were like, the fucking promoters and people who run shows, and I didn't know who they were at the time, but now I know them, and it just pisses me off, because like, fuck, damn,
yeah, I know. God, I really hope this pandemic is over in like the next few months at least, so I can actually travel places and do shows, because that's like the one major thing that can probably take everything to the next level for me. Like, I've been doing tapes for a year and a half now, and I feel like I'm pretty good with that. Like, right now it's kind of just rudiment for me, but I always need to like do something one step more and more. And I think live shows to promote the music that the community has made over on my stateside area is the next logical step. And touring with people that have collaborated with me label wise. I've also thought about going to the West Coast to do shows there later on once I graduate, because that scene's bumping there. Like, how many artists like in like breakcore and hardcore are from like the West Coast, like California, Oregon, Portland.
I know Portland for fucking. There was like a conversation I was having actually on Twitter like yesterday about how fucking just everyone's from fucking Portland.
Yeah, like, I'm jealous. Like, I'm actually thinking about like moving there with some homies so I can pursue this as something tangible for me to do not career wise, but like I could tangibly do on like weekends or something.
I know with me with Liverpool. As far as I know, it's like there is a rave scene, and this is like what, like, I know like PVTV, Projectile Vomit TV. It's like Simon, who is one of the showrunners of it and stuff like that. He's the one who ran like Chemtrail Party Mix, which is where I played my first show, and that's like alternative rave stuff like bonk bootlegs and general like speedcore and stuff like that. So there is like that. The scene does exist in my city, but it's just so tiny. I think like there's me in terms of breakcore. As far as I know, it's like me, Glitch Trip, me and him both on Suck Puck and Gully Teen. And there's bound to be like others, but that's from the top of my fucking head.
Yeah, it's like the closest people nearby me who produce this kind of stuff are in Pittsburgh. Or no, not Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. But that's still far away from me. Like, where I am, there's absolutely nothing. Like, yeah, I live in New York. I live in New England, that area. But there's absolutely nothing but just trees and Bernie Sanders here.
Trees, Bernie Sanders and more trees.
Yeah, basically.
But I know with me, it's like my plan is that I'd like to try and convert Liverpool into a kind of hotspot for mashcore and breakcore, like the sound that I produce and the sound that I feel like I'm mostly, the one I identify with the most. the fact that Bangface is in Southport, which is literally pretty much Liverpool. Like my dad, when I went to Southport with my boyfriend at the time, he literally just drove us there. It was like 50 minutes. Like that's how fucking close Bangface is to me. So I feel like proximity wise, there's already obviously that fucking like Bangface is like the hugest fucking thing for breakcore in terms of live shows and stuff.
Absolutely. Man, to be 50 miles or 50 minutes away from somewhere like that just sounds like a pipe dream for me.
Yeah, fucking
like if I want to do something, I could get a fucking plane ticket or something.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Move everything.
Like there's
American's fucking huge.
There's like a Japanese guy, this fucking cool this Japanese guy that while we were there, he had an Otherman shirt on, and he was in a wheelchair as well. So obviously there was a lot of fucking effort he put in to travel from Japan to here, and then it was just me who just phoned my dad, being like, "Dad, can you pick me up?"
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird disconnect, but also it just shows how strong the community is, honestly. There's people willing to travel that far, and to show up anywhere for this kind of music. And I think that's probably the biggest positive that this community has, honestly. There's no like real blood rivalries or anything like you see in like mainstream like pop culture media, like K-pop stans versus everyone or something, or like Kanye West or Taylor Swift, rivalries. Though it would be fun to like make up a fake one just to like boost notoriety, like some fake beef.
I think as far as I know, the most beef that we have is like anime versus furry in the scene, and probably like boomers versus everyone else.
Oh my god, yeah, that is true. Honestly, I mean, I don't really see much of like anime versus furry stuff. Honestly, like I think both are equally not my thing. I guess you could say.
So I need to
I respect it.
There's like some fucking loud like rap shit going on outside my fucking window. Look, just close the window. I'll probably ruin the audio.
That feel when you don't sleep for 3 days in Minecraft and everyone's those like little raptor things are out to destroy all your crops.
Damn.
God. Sorry, Minecraft reference. That's another integral thing for me growing up, I guess, but I digress.
Really influenced your sound.
Oh yeah. The soundtrack to Minecraft. Unironically though, it's really slaps, honestly.
Yeah, C418 shit.
Yeah.
It was very strange because the intro to Little Big Planet, which is a game I played a lot as a kid.
Oh yeah.
And that was by C418, and that song is in Minecraft as well. And it was very strange when I found that out.
Yeah. Did you know that Ikater, Patrick Catani, did the soundtrack to Battle Block Theater?
I did not know.
Yeah, it's crazy. He went on to do video game soundtracks after being part of Digital Hardcore. I find it pretty like cool, honestly.
So, moving on. We'll be done soon, I promise.
It's cool. It's cool, man.
Yeah, we're running at 1 hour, 15 minutes.
Oh, holy shit. Oh, holy shit. My battery's at 5%. Jesus.
Holy shit. Have you got a charger?
I didn't realize that. I do not. I did not prepare to bring a charger for this.
Oh, shit. Well, all right, we'll do a quick round, a quick fire round. So, what do you, is there anything beyond creativity that inspires your music? Is there any kind of political or just any kind of personal thing that kind of gets satisfied for your music?
Well, I like to say that I have other outside influences, but mainly it's just the idea of just mashing songs together and just making weird, like ADHD type noise, basically. That's how cool. I see it.
All right, next question. So
throwing like some like lightning effects through all this.
Yeah,
like
loud.
Lightning round. Yeah, something like that.
So I guess I guess we could consider you a furry, correct?
Pass.
All right. So basically, the question was really, where does your aesthetic inspiration come from? Because obviously, you have like your own kind of bat character.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mostly because of like I like the idea of just like mascots for music in general because it's like a visual attention grabber, I think. But because I didn't want to do that sort of like colorful, like rainbow furry aesthetic, I decided to just make all my artwork in just black and white monochrome. So that's, I guess, the closest I would say I am to it.
Would you consider it a fursona of sorts, or do you feel like it's not really separate? Like it's quite kind of separate from that?
Yeah, it's separate, honestly.
Right, cool. So you're not a furry. We got that confirmed.
Ambiguous.
All right.
Pass.
Next question. Are there any aspects of your music that you feel like you want to improve on?
Time management. Honestly, that's the biggest thing for me. But also, I do want to venture out into trying other genres very soon, under some different aliases probably. But yeah, mainly I want to reach the ultimate peak of my breakcore adventure here. And then if I feel like I can't really do much else in there, I don't want to run the risk of making music that I would find to be stale for me. So it could just be me venturing out into other genres very soon. Give me like maybe 5 years tops.
All right, cool. I think we've already answered some of these questions, but what's next for you? Do you think like what's your plans for the future?
Well, plans for the future is to actually make some music soon again.
Right, pretty good. Next question. Oh, go on.
No, that was basically it. I want to try doing some music, like quicken my output and maybe make some other genre, like different music. Like I've been working on some like actual like Dutch happy hardcore in the background, so you might hear something about that very soon this year.
Yeah, you've inspired me to, because I'm currently working on a particular happy hardcore track, like a 90s happy hardcore remake of one of my hits. So
absolutely
look forward to that one, listeners. Any fans of Shoebill?
Hell yeah. And
final question. What do you have to say to the new glistening for artists who have joined our scene recently? With your wisdom, your knowledge, what do you have to say?
Wisdom and knowledge. I mean, for newer producers, literally don't be afraid to make mistakes with producing stuff. Like your first stuff is always going to be hot garbage. Just knowing that is a huge load off your shoulders. Like, don't make the same mistake I did by trying to be overly perfect on everything, like over perfection, because then you would be spending 5 years working on one single album's worth of music, like me. That's mostly all my advice for it. Other than that, just networking is important. You'll learn so much from making friends with other people. Don't be afraid to hit up people you think might have a big presence, I guess, because you'd be surprised how many people in this community are more than happy to share information and help you improve your work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously it's like you'd be surprised how many really big names end up being just your friend. I know for me that's definitely happened with me, and it's very it is really surreal. But yeah,
definitely.
All right, cool. My final unofficial question is how do you pronounce your name again?
DJ Chiroptera.
Chiroptera, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Chiroptera, thank you for this discussion. It's been actually really good to speak to you for the first time, like verbally.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that you invited me to start off this podcast series. I hope that it does tremendously.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming out here in your car and
here in my car.
Yeah, and yes. Thank you very much, and thank you, listener for tuning in and supporting the label and my own personal ventures in my stuff. And obviously go and support. I forgot how to fucking say your name again. I'm like this with names in general. I'm really,
yeah. If you want to support me, DJ Chiroptera, and all of our other Megatape Records affiliates, go to megataperecords.bandcamp.com. We have our newest compilation, Fuck Breakcore 2021, as a double cassette release. There's still copies available, so if you want to purchase one, definitely do so before they sell out, like the last compilation did. You're only making 50 copies.
Yeah, because the shit ain't cheap.
Absolutely. Life ain't cheap.
Fucking, I'll link everything in the description of the upload, so that puts less work on everyone else. And yeah, cool. I don't know how to end this.
You can just like end it right here, like, you know.
All right.